Welcome everyone to the third episode of Glimpse into Infinity. Today we have two guests instead of one, and before we get into the topic of today, we'll give a brief introduction for each guest. So if you want to start.
Oh Lord. Hey everyone, I'm Brian. I'm a senior mechanical engineering major. I take a lot of my classes with Steven. We're on school a lot. We met in college, so I didn't know him into high school, but yeah, I mean that's basically the short synopsis.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm a computer engineer. I'm close to Juan here. I've been stuck with him for 3 years now.
Yes, sir. All right.
All right, so let's get started then. So the main idea today is basically going to be revolved around relationships, right? So before we get started into the deeper side of questions that we have prepared, let's first give a kind of like a brief introduction on how the relationships are going currently, how you guys meet, and then we'll go from there.
Like relationship status. Like
Exactly.
What are you guys on?
So I'm single right now. No, I'm playing. I've been with my girl for 3 years now, coming up onto 4, like next year. We met in senior year of high school. We became close friends, and then from there, I kind of, I chased my bag a little bit,
Man,
And then that's basically it. I mean, we've been together for 3 years. It's been a while. There's a lot to talk about.
but she doesn't watch this.
That's fine. We have a cool dynamic.
All right. Sounds good.
Hi, I met my girlfriend a year ago. We've been together for recently. We're in a recent relationship, 3 months. I met her a year ago. It's a weird way that we ended up getting together. Like, I didn't do it intentionally. She had the crush for her, so I'm putting that out there, you know? This is evidence, bro. She's going to come in. She kills me if she ever sees this, but she was the first one. I was oblivious to mostly every hint she dropped, all right? It was through, like, close friends that the hint, I picked up on the hints. I was like, oh, shit. But then I made my move. Nervous as always, I'm a nervous guy.
Yeah.
And then since then, we've been together for 3 months. We're, like, happily dating.
All right. Y'all still in that honeymoon phase?
I guess so. That's what everyone says.
The honeymoon.
Not the honeymoon phase. How about the host then? How about you?
What you mean? I'm single. I've been single for a while now.
Wow.
I've had some relationships in the past, but I don't think everything's been serious,
You
like
ain't-
a serious commitment ever.
No crush?
Well-
No sneaky link?
Not crushed? No, not right now.
No sneaky links.
No,
Damn.
maybe in Florida.
Now Florida, please.
All right, but
All
yeah.
right. I guess I'm the last one. I am currently have something going on. It's hard because it's like kind of long distance type stuff. So I do have it going on for myself. But we're trying to work things out.
All right, so we'll get started with the first question. All right, this question might come off as sudden, but bear with me. All right, so the first question for today is going to be, when does one's feelings, or better yet, does being single for a long time cloud reality or cloud your feelings with, instead of your reality with feelings, right? So does being single for an extended period of time make it so that you're not seeing what you actually want, or you're seeing what you think you want, right? So what do you think about that?
I think it matters on how many people you've dated.
Okay.
I think it's not more so how long you've been single, but how many relationships you've been in, or like how you know yourself as a person. Because if you take somebody in high school, right, they don't really know what they want yet.
Yeah, exactly.
They get into a relationship, and it's kind of like, whether it be their first relationship, it's things for the first time, so they're not even sure what they want in a partner. But someone older, let's say, a few years older than us, so like 20, like late 20s, they probably know what they want a little bit more. And so it's not a matter of how long you've been single, it's a matter of understanding what you want in a significant other, and then like...
With that experience?
Exactly.
Okay.
I feel like it's like what Brian said, it's based on the person. I feel like it's just where the person at is in, like, where they're at in life at the point. Like, some people maybe they think about relationships more, even though they're single, or they haven't dated anyone at all. Right? But they think about it more because they haven't had a relationship yet.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just based on the person, right? It's a person by person thing, whether like the reality gets away from them or what they want from a partner. Like for me, I think I was like single from literally most of my life until now.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought about it, so I knew what I wanted in a partner. I don't know if it's like what I want long term, but as of right now, that's what I have, like, a set standard, right? So I'm like, if like she followed it, I was like, oh, okay. Like if she met it, right? Everything's flexible, because you make it work. So I was like,
no, finish. I just want to add on to something.
you can add on.
I like what you said with it's what you like right now, because when you're in a relationship, sometimes what you seek in somebody else changes.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing I caught what Dan said is where you're at in terms of where you are in your life, like whether it be like elementary, it's depending on your age group and where you are trying to settle down, you're just young and trying to have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
All that stuff matters a lot.
Yeah, so then I guess relating to that, do you think that's the reason why a lot of people, like we see now, that marriage doesn't work that often nowadays? Because people know, they understand that they change over time and their wants and their needs change over time.
Yeah, I think not just that, but just like society has changed as a whole. I know it's kind of easy to say it's society, but before traditionally, women put up with a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
The guys or men put them through, and so that's also changed a lot. That's also a driving factor as to why divorce rates have gone up, and also marriage is just kind of hard. Spending a lot of relationships are give and take. If you take, a person can't give, and traditionally you just stick through it, and it might suck, but you just stick through it. But nowadays we have that. Luckily, it's normal to like just say, yeah, this isn't gonna work out. Let's split up.
So then, I guess when you're, like you guys said, when you're grown, you know what you want, you know what you're looking for, you know what your needs are. But then when you're young, you don't really know. You're like, you just want someone. Like when you're in like middle school, like you just want to kiss a girl. It's like first kiss, then it gets to high school, then it gets more serious. It's like, yo, I'm trying to lose my V card.
Yeah.
So then when you're at that age, like, and you have like those relationships, it's a really, because you're trying to get to like those things, like your first kiss, lose your V card, or do you think, like since you don't know your needs, you think those needs or like those wants, like the V card, the kiss, overtake like the feelings for a serious relationship? Like,
I think it depends on who the person surrounds himself with, right? Like, because some people like they hang around the hood and they're like, oh, gang bang like that, right? They're like, oh, you f a girl. Can I say that?
Yeah. I don't know about gangbang though.
No, I mean, I don't know, bro. I've heard some crazy stories in high school, right? But yeah, so I feel like it's people you surround with. If they make that like the set standard for high school, they're like, that's my mission for to do when I try to get in a relationship. That's what I need to go for. Other people were like, I didn't. In my mind, that was like never. That wasn't even a second thought. That was like 10th thought. That's the last thing I thought about. I thought about like school and having fun. I don't think about that, not that type of fun. I was like,
yeah, because I knew a guy, he was like, if I don't get a girl before high school, I'm just go back to my country and like go to a brothel to like lose my virginity. And I was like, hey, yo, I didn't really agree with that, But a lot of like guys and girls are looking for that during high school. They just want that someone just to get them to that point. And I guess you're right, after when they learn, they get all their needs, they realize that like kissing, sex, that's not everything there is to it. That's when they get into more serious stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So when they first get started in a relationship, do you think it's because, like Juan said, those expectations of getting the first kiss, losing the V card, or like are they truly happy for the relationship, or are they mostly just happy to be in a relationship?
First relationships, or just a
relationship in general, like because back to the first question, I talked about being single for an extended period of time, right? I wanted to ask if being single can make it so that you're truly happy in the relationship you're in once you get into one, or is it mostly you're just happy to be in a relationship, find that you have one, right? So, what do you think?
I'll let Dan go first.
I can speak on like the first relationship wise because this is my first relationship. I feel like those like wants that you talked about. I guess I didn't have them, or they weren't like, oh, that's what I want now. And I was more like, if it happens, it happens. Right, but for the most part, the guys, like, it was like the company, like that. She was supportive. She wasn't like, I guess, she was like real about everything. Right, I'm I'm not a very serious person, but like more logical thinking. Like I think everything more like, I gotta be punctual and stuff like that. I'm like detail oriented for stuff like that. And she was also the same way, and but I guess I'm more loose in that fact that I don't want to plan things out. So she fits the half I'm missing, in a sense. Like she fits the puzzle piece.
I think I can relate to what Dan said, where it's like completing the other half kind of sense. I'm more I don't know why it's like this, but I have a friend too. It's the same way, but guys tend to be a little bit more logical and think less with their feelings. But girls do think a little bit more with their feelings as opposed to thinking with logic. I'm not sure if it's just the way we're brought up, But it's common to there be that difference, and that difference does lead to problems within a relationship. But then, like I said, it's about because when you're in a relationship, you have to think about more than yourself. Like
Exactly.
it's hard for me. Like I'm the kind of person that I usually just think for myself. It's not difficult for me to just think about myself.
Yeah.
But when you're in a relationship, you have to also do things for others, and that's a big part of a relationship. Because if you don't do that, what's the point? If you're just thinking of yourself,
Yeah, exactly.
there's no point of sharing your life with someone else. So that's something I constantly try to work on. But it's one of those things.
Yeah, like there are certain things you have to like, I guess, take into account when you're acting, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you do things unintentionally, right? And like in your back, in your mind is like like innocently unintentional like behavior or something, or like comments something like that. But like to her, it's something else. To her, she reads it another way.
Yeah.
And that's where like the problems start.
Yeah, you just have to like, I don't know. It's like you don't have to like. It's not like you're walking on like eggshells.
Yeah.
But you just have to think.
Yeah.
It just involves a little more thinking to make sure you're taking into account someone else's feelings and stuff. So.
And that's hard because you never really thought about that. Like your whole life is just you.
Yeah.
How people make you feel, and like how things that you do make you feel. And it's like you gotta think of like, how can other people that you surround yourself with and interact with can make her feel or can make him feel,
Yeah, exactly.
It's always like a whole different perspective, like a third point of view.
And going back to what Brian said earlier about being logical, I don't know if you guys knew this, but it's this is all in psychology, right? So women tend to think more of the emotions, and guys think to think more logical.
Yeah.
And they did like this study about this. I learned this in my cyber psychology class. That they did this study on emails from sending to a professor on like an assignment they missed. And then if it was a female professor, then females would mostly stick with the emotions and tell them something that's happened. They're clearly struggling with X, Y, Z. But if it was a guy, they would say, "Oh, I've done this so far. I've only missed one assignment, so there shouldn't be that much of a hindrance," right? Something like that along the lines, right? So that's where that comes from.
I'm in that same class and I haven't been paying attention. I don't even remember saying that.
Wasn't that art class?
Yeah.
That was art class. Yeah.
I'm literally taking that class.
So I guess another question for you, Brian. Since you started your relationship, I guess technically at a young age, and did you mention you had relations before that?
I had a few, like, okay, I say a few, but I had like, maybe, I had like two before, like one elementary and like one in the beginning of high school or something.
All right, so can you say that like your lack of expectations, I guess at that point, like help it last because she kind of like helped shape your expectations, kind of like how Dan said, like he knew what he wanted because based on himself, but like he was flexible because he knew he needed to be, and like she's like kind of fitting that. So,
I think that's a good point. That's a good question.
yeah.
Because I did get into a relationship. That was probably my first serious relationship with my girl now. So like, it's like I have an idea of what I want, but like, do I really know what I want? But it's more so learning about her more and more as time goes on through the relationship to see if this is going to work out long term, that kind of thing. So I guess being flexible is being part of any relationship, because if you're a certain way or if you're really rigid, there can be some relationships that do work out, but more often than not, you will stumble across like difficulty, a lot more difficulties than normal, just because you need things a certain way. It's almost like being a control freak.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why there's a lot of, because there are harsh, like some people that are like super controlling.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy, but it's because they need their partner to fit a certain mode. And so luckily I'm not like that.
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully I wasn't. My parents did a good job. Maybe the internet did a good job on me, but luckily I'm not like that. So I am very flexible. I do think that. So yes, to answer Juan's question, yes, I do think being flexible was a big part, especially because it was my first serious relationship, or it is. Not was.
Yeah. So I guess like the same question, but now I guess fitting into your situation then. So like you said you had no experience,
Yeah,
right?
no prior experience. Yeah.
So then
I feel like then I'm like I know I'm answering for you, but like, I feel like that just depends on like who I surrounded myself, I guess. Because like relationship wise, I had Brian's relationship for like that first year, and then I had another close friend of ours. Their relationship is like going on like 6 years now, right? Saying like a healthy relationship, right? I see what they did, right? And like that's where I took like the expectations from, or like I set some standards off of that. That's how like I figured out what I wanted. Like I self-reflect at the moment, but then like as time goes on, things change. Whether we can like are flexible with that, it's up to us, and only time will tell, right?
yeah, it really is like that. Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
It's like
basically ask like about expectations, and if it's since it's both like it's your first serious one and your first one as well. We wanted to ask if the expectations, did you have any in going into it, or did you get all your expectations from when you were during the relationship, right? Even now.
Yeah, well, going into it, I just liked her, like I just wanted to share, I guess, my life with her, or just have a partner. And so that was my biggest expectation going in, and then just learning how to be a boyfriend and like all this other stuff came with it because it was my first serious relationship. So there was a lot of learning and combination of learning what I want. So
yeah, because it's also a tricky spot, like a tricky line, because you gotta balance what you want, then you also gotta balance what she wants.
Yeah.
You know, and you gotta balance both, to be honest. Like, I know you guys, like, we all had relationships before now. It's like sometimes you do things that you don't really like, not say like, but you do things that is out of your way for her or for him, you know, just to like, because that's how it should be, you know. You can do everything, just expect it to fall into you, and that's just, it won't work that way. So I guess like, since you've been like for 3 years and then it's just starting, like let's talk about like, when do you think like the point is drawn where like you're sure like, oh, basically she feels like she's like not the one per se, but she's like basically she's like the one I want, you know.
I mean,
it's like some people say marriage, some people say like, oh, when you move in together, it's like that's it, that's
official.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's what you kind of mean.
Yeah.
I mean, marriage and stuff, to me, it doesn't really mean anything.
No.
Like, I feel like I don't have to, like, once you're in a relationship, I feel like that's the serious part, you know? Because being in something that's exclusive, that alone is, I don't constitute as marriage, but it's like just like the same thing, right? You're exclusive and then you're trying to learn about more each other. A marriage is just, it just doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know if it's because my parents are divorced, but it just doesn't mean anything to me. Like, marriages come and go, but like, you know, being in a relationship, that's like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I feel like marriage is like a title on a paper. That's how I take it, right? Like I've seen like my parents were married, and I had like family, like my sister like had a son but not married. So I'm like, it's just where the person's at, I guess. Like it's what the person deems as like the one, I guess, or like the one they want. Like selling like it's almost like I feel like it's ultimatum getting married, right? It's like if like you're like, oh, we're getting married because that means you love me that enough to keep me for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
I feel like it's just like how the people are together. Like, okay, do you want to get married? Yes, me too. Okay, then yeah.
So why doesn't it work out? Is it because, like we said before, like people just change and they're not changing together, or they start changing in separate paths?
Also a big thing. Okay, I'll answer your question first because I got a lot of something else.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing, like, I think, like, changing in separate paths is something that commonly happens, especially, I feel like, during long-distance relationships, right? If someone lives far away from you, you can't really, it's not you can't control them, you just don't know what they're doing every day, and so what that means is their experiences change them as a person, and if you're not there experiencing kind of the same thing, right, then you're not changing with them, and so they might start changing it to something else that you don't
like
not agree, but
you split paths.
You just kind of just split, and it's a natural thing. It isn't like any bad thing. It's just like, oh shit, like, we're you know. But luckily, I mean, my girl goes to a different school. It's like 10 miles away, so it's
I'm
like,
the only one.
Nothing crazy.
I'm the one that's screwed.
Yeah.
But that's why I think longer. Like now that I'm looking at full times.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I'd be able to do a long distance relationship. Like, and I know she knows that. I've told her like, because we're going to be at two different points. Like, we're both going to be starting our young professional careers. It's like, it's extremely challenging time by itself. And then you have to learn how to be an adult.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I have to live my own, cook clean, do all this nonsense. And it's like, all this, and then, like, you know, we might get in different friend groups, and it's like, holy shit, like, unless we, like, just talk to each other for, like, the next, like, you know, year that we are developing our young professional relationship, am I really going to be talking to anybody else? You know, like, it's just going to be a big change for both parties, and so that can lead to issues, of course, if both sides are willing. You know, that it's something you can work through, but it's just something extremely difficult, and not everybody can do it, right? And
but yeah, it's tough. I was talking to one of our good friends from the club, and he already graduated. He's an alumni, and he was talking about making that decision between choosing a professional career or choosing a relationship, right? And he chose a relationship, right? So him and this was an old relationship. This was before he didn't start his professional career. He was starting his college career, right? So they both moved to the same state, and then she's not going to college in the state that he's living in right now, but they're no longer dating, right? And you could see that as a mistake, right? But at the same time, like they eventually broke up, but that's because they moved in and they realized that they weren't really official yet. So something to just keep in mind is to like never really make big decisions like that unless you've known, like you've been together for an extensive period of time, so you know whether or not it would work or not, right? Because making those big decisions, I can't judge him for making the decision, right? Because it's not easy just to like let someone go and choose what you want to do, right? I'm not saying it's easy, but at the end of the day, what's easier to achieve, right? Developing a professional relationship or getting a new girlfriend, right? And that's just like the realistic way of looking at things. But if you look at it with your feelings, and you'll have all these biases, and you won't say it's that easy, right? I'm speaking from my experience, so someone like Brian or Dan can say something different, you know?
Yeah, because it's not that easy. Like once you, like putting like 3 years into a relationship is like.
It's all over again.
And then just like starting off, like if I ever were to break up with my girlfriend, I don't know if I wouldn't get into a relationship for like another 3 years. Like I put so much time into like this relationship, you know, like
you would be like drained that you don't want to do.
Yeah, I'd be so emotionally. I wouldn't want to fucking repeat the same shit I did, you know, with someone else.
Yeah, because you're starting, so you're not really stable, you know.
Yeah.
You don't really know whether you're gonna like the place, you're gonna like the city you're in. You know, you're not stable yet, so it's like you're still in that. Like I might move somewhere else again. I might be across the country again tomorrow, and the same thing's gonna happen, you know. But I guess my question is for everyone: when do you read like? You have 3 years of experience. Dan's just starting. Steven has something. I have some stuff. Do you think it ever comes to a point where like you think like just the first date is enough? Like to know like whether like you want to date that person or not? Because it seems like now like people go on first dates and then boom, it's like one night stand.
Yeah.
And like, do you think you ever get to a point where one first date? Because you already know your expectations after some experience, and you know what you want and what you don't want, and you see that with like the people that date at 30.
Yeah.
Like one date is enough for them. They're like.
No, I feel like it just depends on what you want going into the date. You know, if you want a one night stand going into the date, you know, you want a one night stand, like that's what you're gonna get. But if you go into the date like because you want to know the person a little bit more and see whether or not you know
you're interested,
you want to continue a little more, you want to talk to them a little more, then all I guess all it takes one day to have an understanding. Like, hey, do we kind of vibe? Like, if you can vibe, then you know things will go forward pretty easily.
Because also realize like the older people get. Not per se this the more strict they get, but the more like I know what I want, so like they become less flexible. Right?
You know what I think that is? You know how I mentioned like I've been in a relationship for 3 years, I wouldn't want to start over. It's that same thing, but it's because they're old. Like they don't want to like spend time on something that they know, that isn't like you know like 75% sure. Like oh shit, am I gonna?
It's like
I'm like nah. If it's like 50%, I'm like oh nah, let me try somebody else.
Yeah,
I guess that's what it is for older people because you know I don't want to say their time is ticking. But, you know, time is ticking. It's different. It's different for them.
Yeah, especially I mean guys like their time is not really ticking, but for women it is.
Yeah, especially if they want to start a family.
And have kids, and all that stuff. That's like one of the biggest priorities when I think that's to answer your question. That's like the biggest thing they look forward, right? They probably ask them like, oh, what do you think about kids, right? Because they are older, right? They'll probably just flow into the conversation some way or another, right? They'll ask if they want kids. They ask how they feel about family, adopting, even that, right? And then that, even once they say no, then they're out of there, right? Like in their head, right? Obviously, they don't just get up and leave, but you know, they're no longer seeking them as that way, right? Maybe a friend even, but once you get to that age, then besides even family, then you could start looking at things like if you're compatible. Because I feel like a lot of times that's why marriages don't last, because people don't look at who's compatible with who. They look at like if their priorities meet their priorities, right? And yeah.
We guys talk about it, kind of sounds like a resume. You know what I'm talking about? Like, let's see what you have in experience.
Exactly.
Kids, no. GPA, what?
Geographical mobility.
Relocation.
Like sometimes like that's the thing, like girls looking like guys with money or stuff.
Yeah.
But sometimes you gotta look at it from their point of view. Like if they were raised like in like a stable home, and like usually like their dads provide everything to the girl. It's like if like the dad comes and buys them a car when they're 16, and then don't come out like when they're 25, they're not gonna want a guy that doesn't drive a car because they've been used to driving and being used to taking places since they were 16. So it's not really just because you like are too broke for a car. It's just that her expectations and her reality has been that she's always had a car with her, and now she's gonna go with someone that's like, nah, take the bus.
I mean, if she was really interested in the guy, then you gotta make things work. Like Brian
But
said.
the thing is, but the thing is like when you first meet someone, it's like rare that connection just clicks in, and like you're willing to like sacrifice things like that, you know. Like I don't know, we were saying like the resume. Like if she sees no car, she's like, I've been driving a car my whole life, and now I gotta take a bus.
Yeah,
you see.
But that's kind of why like the best relationships come from friendships, you know. Like,
Because that's when you get to know them.
Yeah, that's when you have. That's why you don't like. You basically like learn. You don't like learn the resume, but like, you like learn it with experience. You know, it's like working with them, kind
It's
of.
like you're making your resume together.
Yeah, it's kind of like
You're helping them add this.
It's
to
like
the
working on the
list.
group project.
Yeah, add this to the list. that we're not doing.
And you were there when it was being made, like the resume, you know, so you saw the progress.
Yeah,
And you see someone come at you with like a resume.
You saw your influence on the resume.
Exactly, and the influence too is like they might be capping about half the stuff. Like a lot of people capping the resume.
Yeah, they do.
Someone can be capping. He's like, oh, I'm a really like passionate and affectionate guy. I really pay attention to details.
Yeah. That's why dating apps don't work, because everyone's saying the same thing. A lot of people are just looking for hookups, especially on apps like Tinder. No one's looking for a serious.
Steven lies about his age.
I mean, but Tinder is for hookups. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much. Like, I used Tinder before. It was like, whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I seen people trying to get serious stuff from Tinder. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here, man?
Yeah,
It's like,
Well,
whatever.
sometimes it works for some people. Though.
Yeah.
It's like some though.
some, very some, few, because some people just lie to get that one night stand, right?
I know that's different. Though. That's because some people are just scummy.
Yeah, that's true.
So and I guess just keeping going. You guys think like you're in a relationship? Some people are really invested in a relationship. Some people are just starting. You know, different points in life. There's feelings for the other person are like in different intensities. So you think like relationships should like lead your life or complement it in a way?
Compliment, I'd say compliment.
Yeah,
Why
man.
you say
I
that?
definitely don't want relation to take over my life.
Yeah, I don't mean in that sense like take over, like complete take over. But I mean like
Like lead in the sense that you need your happiness from another person.
no, not your happiness, but like your plans like need to be adjusted for the relationship. For example, you brought the example with your friend,
Professional.
right? His
Yeah.
life was guided by his relationship.
Yeah.
The place where he lived, the place where he goes to school was guided by that relationship. Yours is not guided because you're like dropping the relationship for your life. So your relationship is not guiding your life. So I'm guessing that's why you agree with that. But
I mean, all relationships kind of guide your life, though. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, so then where do you draw the line so it doesn't guide it?
I mean, all relationships guide it, though. No, like no matter. I feel like
Because like we said earlier, we always like in the back of our head now we think for the other person too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like subconsciously it's gonna be that,
But in
especially
your
as time goes on.
Your relationship is going to stop guiding your life because you're going to.
No,
Because
because
you're
subconsciously, because
saying-
once he gets to wherever he moves, he just subconsciously like will think still about her. That's
Yeah,
how the guy feel.
I want her to move in with me. That's
Yeah, that's
like
the same.
wherever I move, you know, I want her to come with me.
Yeah, I think the way Juan's trying to ask this question is when do you draw a line between making decisions for yourself that can end the relationship or making
Yeah,
decisions
right.
that change your, like, let's go back to the example like what Juan was saying. When do you draw the line between making decisions for yourself to advance your career to
Or your life.
exactly, or your life without the relationship, and then when do you do things that you only do for the relationship, like your decisions, like if you're applying for jobs, you wouldn't even look at things outside of the state because you know if you moved, it wouldn't work.
Yeah,
Things like that.
For example, I have another friend. He has his side of the country. He has this girl over there, right? And she's coming here to do her masters, and he's also coming here with them. But he doesn't really have a plan on staying where she is, so she's staying around the school, right? She's going to live there. But the places where his major, their jobs are not around there, so he's really conflicted with that. He's like he really wants his life to be guided by the relationship. He really wants to live with her, but then he also has his own thing going on. He's like, in that sense, like your relationships and your life, like which one revolves around which?
Yeah.
Which one should revolve around which? Do you think it depends on like the time you had invested into the relationship?
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing you in a short relationship, like a relationship of 2 months, you're like, nah, f this, I'm not doing that for you. Like we just been together for 2 months. Like
Yeah.
3 years, you're like, or 6 years, like your friend. He's like, hey man,
Like you don't want to start all over.
It kind of depends, though. It isn't that I don't want to start all over. It's just that I want to continue what I'm doing with her.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that too.
you also want a job, and like you also want a job, or we're like needed, but you also need her in your life.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's hard to quantify how much somebody, you know, their worth in terms of emotional, as opposed because a job is monetarily quantifiable, right? There's some kind of value associated with it.
Yeah.
But you can't. There's no value.
Yeah.
Like there's no like literal value that you can associate with a relationship. And so it's just. I guess it's up to personal preference. I mean, it's just one of those questions. I don't know how to answer.
Yeah, that's a question to answer. I know.
Like
Yeah, because it's also hard, like, because sometimes you are willing to, like, let your relationship revolve over your life, but then the other person is not. Like, for example, like, let's say you get an offer outside, like, across the country, and then you're like, nah, I can't like leave her. Like let's say you guys get to that point, you're like, I'm gonna decline the offer and stay here and try to find something here. But then she gets an offer like across the country, and she comes up to you and she's like, I'm out. We gotta end things.
Well, I mean, it'd have to be. I talked to her about it first.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because
yeah.
like, if I got an offer across the country, I'd be like, just move in with me. You know, like my salary will take care of both of us until you find something.
Yeah, but then if she's willing to do that for you, then that means you're also willing to do that for her in the future. Like if something of the same intensity shows up for her.
You're right. It should be that way, but it's just not always that way.
It's not.
It's not always that way just because I don't know. I don't know. We're people. Like it just changes. Like the priority of like, oh shit, like I love this job. I'm
I feel like it's in the moment, like in the moment with what you have in front of you. That's when you make the decision.
Yeah.
With the partner.
Yeah. The thing about relationships is they can only ever speak for yourself. Like you can speak for somebody else, but like decisions like that, you can only ever speak for yourself and do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? As long as you do what you want to do, then you did the right thing in the relationship. Right? And if the other person decides they do the opposite thing that you did, then you know, it's for the best.
It's for the
It's
best.
for the
It just
best
meant
because-
that it just.
Like eventually something probably would have happened on the line and you would have split up anyways. It's better that it's split up now, so that way each person goes their own way, and you know.
But a lot of people don't see
figure
it that way. They think that they need this, right? That's what we were saying earlier about complimenting versus leading, right? Some people would say they need the relationship to work, so they wouldn't split up, right? They
Yeah,
wouldn't-
but then but the thing with that is eventually, you know, maybe they find somebody that they feel the same way, you know. So if they had conflicting views and there was just no problem that really started that like discussion, then it's good that it did start it because maybe something down the line would have started it. Does that kind of make
I
sense?
see what you mean.
Yeah. What you think, Dan?
What
What was
about-
thinking there?
I was thinking because you said like we're needing and then like complimenting. I was like, I think it's we were just giving like complimenting answers, right? We're like oh, well, we'd make it work somehow, right? Because we're logical. I was in my head because we're all thinking logically right now. So then we're sort of like on our emotions, acting like no, but we need that. You know, we're like we'll make it work somehow, right? We'll come up with something together.
Yeah.
But like maybe if a girl was here, maybe one of our girls was here, they'd be like no, like we don't want the relationship to work.
Yeah.
I think that's why like this is like a one-sided like view for
It is.
conversation.
Yeah, it is.
Because I really seen like more stories like that the girls basically drop everything and go with the guy, like in cases like that, and then they just go with them. Then the other way around. Like I heard this story from this girl like back in my country. She met a guy from like a complete like kind of like isolated country, and he's like a really like off technology type life. So like in the jungle cabin. Like he owns her own food, and like she's already used to living in the city, living like modern life, and she really dropped everything, went over, left her whole family, and went over to that country with that guy she didn't know, started like raising cattle and shit, and like living like that, and it's like everyone was shocked. It's like how the fuck can you do that, you know?
Did it work out?
Oh no, I didn't. She's back. She's back. But she's acting that way now. She got things from him.
Yeah.
So she's like oh in that sense like that now. But she's back to her country with her family and stuff. Well, I do see it happen more often with girls than guys. Like that they're willing to like drop everything and go.
And do you think that's because they lose their sense of self? Like, because something I want to touch on, next topic, right, is when being in a relationship for that long and you're making decisions that you need the relationship, right, that because you both said you want to complement it, right, but for the decision like getting a job and not wanting to find someone new and other stuff like that, do you think that along those lines, as you get deeper and deeper and fall like into that abyss of like your feelings, do you think that you lose your sense of self along the way, right? When do you draw a line between doing things for the relationship and doing things for you?
That's something you learn, like being part of a relationship, because like making sure you're still your own person, still have a friend group.
Yeah.
That's part of like keeping that sense of self. And so like it's just like as you progress in a relationship, making sure there is that healthy balance between having a friend group or having things on the side that doesn't just involve your significant other.
Yeah.
Some people just want to be with their significant other, and you know, to each their own. But some people do have a very important sense of self. I know I have an extremely important sense of self.
Yeah.
I don't love doing things alone, but it's just like
Yeah.
I like doing things alone. I like do whatever alone. And my girlfriend, she gets that. She respects that, and so it's no issue. You know, it's just something we talk about, and you know, we get on FaceTime with her and we talk. You know, it's kind of like making sure each party is happy with what they're doing, but making sure to keep that sense of self. I think it's really up to each person. I'm not sure how Dan is with his sense of self, because I know Dan. I think Dan likes doing things alone too. I'm not sure though.
That's
I'm like a relative, like I guess like not like loner personality, I guess, but like I'm quiet and more reserved, right? So I like to keep to myself more often. So I was like I'm balancing like schoolwork and like when it gets like during stressful times or like when there's like a lot of work to do, she understands that like I'm like oh like I like just like I'm a very upfront person right with her. So I was like oh I have like extreme amount of work to do. I'm not gonna text you back for a little bit. She understands that, right? She's like, oh, she wants to pay something. I can't. I'm doing, and like I have work and a project to do. She's like, okay, just come in when you can. Yeah. Or like she'd be like, okay, I'll call and just like stay quiet, right? Like I just like just to watch. I'm like, okay, that's a good like I guess like not medium, not medium. What is it called?
Like you meet in the middle.
Meet in the middle. Yeah, like meet in the middle. Like okay, yeah, she. I'll just like do my work patiently, like you know. Or like if I'm trying to play video games. I always play by myself. Y'all don't want to play with me no more.
That's
huge cap.
Nah, yeah. I be on banger by myself.
That's a topic for the next podcast.
Like, bro, I'm on banger by myself. Okay. But yeah, so things like that, right? Like, it's like she understands. I was like since the beginning of the relationship, I was always like upfront.
Very open.
Yeah, I was like very upfront with what I wanted. So I was like, and she accepted most of it. You know, so I was like, that's how mine is right now.
Yeah. So with the answer, I know I have to do so. Like, with the answer specifically, with like whenever you're busy, you say, "Hey, I'm busy." I suck at that. I'm so bad at doing that. I just fucking ghost.
I just ghost. Yeah,
I just ghost. And then my girl gets mad, and I understand why she gets mad. Like it's such a simple fucking thing that I can be doing, and I just don't do it.
I just ghost.
I don't know why, but sometimes I remember. Like I'll have like a week where I like do it. I'm doing pretty good. And then the next week, Jesus, it'll be like a month where I don't do it.
Sometimes I just for the whole day I don't. She don't hear nothing from me. And she calls me, he's like, yo, where you been? I'm like, oh. And I start thinking, I'm like, oh, shit, I didn't tell her anything.
Man, you know? I only sucked at that one time. And that was in Florida when we went to for the convention. Like that first day, because everything was so like hectic. It was so busy. We land, we go to the hotel. Our hotel was f***ed up. Yeah. We go to the rooms. I had to go get food by myself. But I took up. I come back. You hurry up. You gotta get dressed. You gotta go to the register. Go register. Let's go explore the place. And by the time I get back, she's like, where you been? And I was like, I haven't looked at my phone's still at 90% from when the first. I didn't even touch my phone.
You know, the thing is, I'm on my phone too. Like I'll be on my phone and I
get a message and I just swipe up. I'm like, you're interrupting my video.
After this YouTube video.
I'm like that. I admit it. I'm like that with like friends too sometimes. Yeah. Like friends, I guess friends I don't see like every day. Like they text me, they're like, yo, where you been? You been lost? I'm like.
You know what it is? Because I think, do you do that with friends too, Buster? You'll tell them like you're busy?
No. I think, I mean, because
with my friends, I'll just ghost them too.
I just ghost them, yeah.
No, I think it's like, I mean, I in general just don't text. Like, she's literally like, if she went like my phone, it's literally just her and maybe like John and Brian. That's it.
Yeah.
I guess it like as far as
friends.
I'm like I suck at texting in general. I suck at like social media in general.
Yeah.
So like the texting process in general is just so strenuous to me. So I'm like I hate like it bothers me sometimes. But like she knows this. Like I'm like literally the first time I texted when she first messaged me. I'm like okay. I'm a terrible texter, but like, we can keep it going. Yeah. That was like one of my second messages I sent to her. Yeah. So I was like am I doing this constantly? Am I gonna have to keep replying? So like it comes down to that.
So what do you eat for breakfast today?
I literally be asking stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know what the
Oh, maybe that's why. So, do you actually pay attention when you text?
When you pay attention?
Like, are you invested in the conversation in the text? Because I'm more invested over a FaceTime than I am over text. Like when I'm texting, sometimes like the conversation is kind of just doesn't really go anywhere. It's kind of just like like checking in, exactly. It's not really like meaningful. I think that's why I don't pay attention to
it. I think that's why I suck at texting. I try to get like the conversation invested. I try to get invested to like the message, and I'm like I can't I can't read the emotion through this. I'm like so I'm like I just call instead. Right?
That's a good point. I gotta think about it that way. Then I'll probably.
I think it's a combination of things, right? On one end, you could be like, oh, social media texting, memes, right? You just send memes.
Yeah,
memes. Like use your phone for, right? Use your phone for entertainment, right? You don't really use it for texting like that, or at least I don't. And then going back to what Brian said about like, oh, he doesn't really know why we do this. Like one idea that popped in my mind is because with friends, you don't really care. Like I don't want to say care, but like you care, but like you don't really pay attention to like what they're feeling or your text messaging because you can't read their face expressions. You can't do none of that, right? You can't really get invested like what Brian was saying.
But not just because we're guys too.
That's the thing. I feel like I'm like on the opposite spectrum. I try to get the emotion. I try to dissect.
I have to try them. If I try them, I'll probably remember that.
Yeah, but then like you're gonna get to the point where I'm like I don't want to like you don't want to like respond back because you're like what else can I ask? Like what else do I respond with?
Oh yeah, I know what you mean, but then I would just say like some random stuff and
Like, if it gets dry?
No, I'm not dry, but we just
Dry,
like,
you just don't know.
Like conversation ends.
yeah, like that certain topic ends. So I was like, insert a meme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm like Brian. Like we can like spend like all day like not talking. We check in with each other. It's like, yo, good morning, this and that.
Yeah.
But then like it's because we talk at night. Like we talk, we get on the call for like 2 hours, and that's when we talk about like our day, everything we did, and so on.
See, I'm starting to get into, I'm starting to get into that mindset. I'm starting to get into that mindset now. Where like when we first started dating, right, like the first month, I was like, immediately anything happened, I had to tell her about it, right. Now I'm more like, how you doing?
Exactly.
Good. Send a meme. Send, you know, a little friendly laugh, you know. And then now when we call at night, now like, I say everything now. Now everything comes out.
I think that's better. Saving everything for the night,
Yeah.
because then you actually like.
Because like even when we first
I
started,
think you want to know why I think that is. Sorry to cut you off, Dan. Sorry, Dan. Sorry. Like, it just came out. I was like, oh. So like when. Oh, I lost my train of thought already.
Yeah, that's
God
what,
damn.
so did I lost mine too. I lost mine too, right?
I'm sorry, Dan. I'm sorry. I was gonna say that. Oh no, I lost my train of thought.
Yo, keep going, then.
Nah, he made me
sorry.
lose mine, bro.
Damn.
Bruh.
But yeah, I think it is. It's because I don't know, for me,
Oh, I remember mine too.
for me at least, like every time I used to get home from school, like my mom would be like, "Yo, how was school?"
Yeah.
Like I was talking to my mom about how was school. You know, and like I think it was a study. It's like you like find a partner that looks like resembles like your brother.
It's the
so
same thing
it's
for
like-
girls. Like they usually find someone who like resembles their dad. And
Yeah, exactly. So you should like I just find that a lot better. Like at night, like when I'm done with everything, like I can dedicate just the
Just
time
her,
to her,
yeah.
and I call her, and like it's just better. But like texting her in the middle, like between class, he's like, "I just got, I don't really like."
I think I
that.
know what it is. So this is what I was gonna say before I cut off Dan. so, so I was gonna say that the reason why that is because the reason why I think that is right is because when you're spending the day with them, you can't talk to them at night because you've already spent the day with them. There's nothing new to
Yeah.
add, nothing to contribute. If you spend every day and every second with them, then when you spend every day and every second with them, there's nothing to talk about because you literally spent the day together, right? So I think
That's
that's
true.
why it's good to
Yeah.
have like that break and then at the nighttime just say how your day went, right?
I don't know, because also back in high school and like middle school,
Yeah.
like we would spend the day together, and then we just be texting on like Facebook Messenger, like also all day after high school, just about dumb stuff.
But like, it wasn't really a serious one.
It wasn't really serious. It was just talking about, I don't know.
As I was gonna say, it's like because you haven't like you don't have like the expectations. You don't have like you don't have like
Yeah.
other priorities in your mind. Right there. You're just like I gotta pass it. I gotta pass math. I got a homework to do tomorrow. That's it. Not like career, resume, organization, anything,
Yeah.
exams.
Everything. Oh yeah, I mean, it was a pleasure to have you guys. We really, yeah, it was a really good conversation.
Let's end off on one question, right? Because it's basically the main overarching question of the whole conversation, right? Is it better to have loved or to never have loved at all, right? Because
Everything we said.
everything we said about making that decision when you cut the line, right, and you want to start over, right? For the person who's watching and listening who doesn't want to start over and they're thinking it's better to never have loved, what would you guys say? Would it be better to have loved or never to have?
I know,
It's better
like,
to have love. That's
to have
good.
love,
I agree.
Yeah.
But that's because I want a relationship.
because we said had love in the sense like you loved and then that love was lost, and like you were left with like
Yeah.
that pain, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah.
I rather
You
feel
still
the-
have
yeah.
rather love
Yeah.
Yeah,
than
rather
to not
love.
love at all.
Yeah.
Just because then the next person I love would probably be hopefully better.
Yeah,
Hopefully
hopefully,
better.
right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. So I guess I mean for Dan, it's still fresh in your mind, kind of, because you just got a relationship.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like you didn't know that you needed this, right? And now that you're in a relationship, you're like, damn, I was really missing that part. Is that going through your head?
Well, I feel like it's more like what I was saying what I was missing.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like in that aspect, yeah, I did need her
Right.
to like set me straight in some parts, or like
Mhm.
make me more, I guess, conscious of other things that I was like forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, yeah, like she is like. What was the
Right.
question again?
That's what I'm saying. Like did that ever cross your mind? Like, damn, I really needed
Oh,
this.
okay,
Or,
yeah,
or I
yeah.
was missing this.
Yeah.
Because back when you didn't have her, you were chilling. You
Yeah.
thought you were fine.
Yeah, I thought I was.
And
Like,
now that you have her, you were like, damn, I was really missing this. I didn't know I was missing this.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to tell one of my friends who never had anything.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm just chilling, bro. I'm just chilling.
Yeah.
I don't
Like
need
Carlos?
anything.
yeah, but yeah.
And I'm like, bro,
chilling, though.
it's because
I
you
was
don't
chilling.
know. Like,
Yeah.
trust me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, damn, I really needed this, and I was missing this.
I think it's because of what Brian said. You can't quantify it.
Yeah,
right?
you can't
It's
express
like
it.
the first
Yeah.
time you're thinking with your emotions, right? Now,
Exactly.
you can't think with numbers
Yeah,
and
so
facts.
true.
I don't know, bro.
That's a good point.
A relationship does be making you like act different. That thing's making you soft, man. That thing's like, damn, I've never done that or said that. And look at me now.
Yeah, maybe more expressive for sure. I was like terrible at expressing myself. I'm still terrible at it, but you know, little by little, I'm getting better.
Nah,
I don't
Like, yo, babe, I failed.
There's the Tin Robot from Alice. No, is it Alice in Wonderland? No.
Wait, which one?
The Tin Robot that doesn't have a heart.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's his wish from Oz.
Yeah.
To get a
There's a
heart.
lion.
Oh, the Lion, Wizard of Oz.
That's what I said.
Wait, did you?
Yeah, it's the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, I didn't hear
No, I
you.
didn't hear you.
Shit. The mic picked that up though.
No,
No, they didn't hear it.
We're cutting that part out.
Hey, you know,
Cut
wait.
it out, cut it out, blur it.
Post-production.
I'll blur it out.
But yeah, once again, thank you guys for coming. Yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation. I don't know,
Yeah,
y'all.
pleasure
I
having
really
you.
liked it. Any final regards?
Any remarks?
Any-
Anything you
any-
want to add to the conversation? Let the audience know about.
Yeah, any advice you'll give to people?
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
people also
Yeah,
looking for
that's a
advice.
Good way
I
to end
love
it.
advice,
Oh,
I guess.
advice? No, biggest thing is don't think about yourself. Like think about the other person a little more,
Yeah.
and always try. Because sometimes I speak from experience. Sometimes
Yeah.
I just don't try as much as I should.
Mm.
So I always try to give a little extra effort because the your significant other does. They do notice it.
Yeah.
They
I
do
feel
notice
like,
it.
I feel like don't get complacent. I guess some things.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like you know, I guess you don't because I guess for more of a guy, like you don't express yourself as much right now. At least you don't think you do, right? You think like, oh, when I'm cheery, I'm cheerful, you know. But like when you actually get like with somebody, you're gonna see like, oh, I'm not really like expressing. Should be like you don't seem happy or something. You don't seem down. I feel like you just need to get more expressive and more flexible with your emotions.
Why you sigh? What do you have to add to that?
Alright, no, it's just
GG, Juan.
nah, yeah. Well, I agree with that.
What's
Right?
your-
Yo, that
So
hit,
yes, guys.
that hit deep one right here.
Word.
Yeah, hit the sigh.
Yeah, it's hard.
So yes, to the audience, leave us your thoughts down below. You know, drop a like down there.
Hell yeah.
Share, you know, so people can get to know us. We're just trying to start something. Be posted for the next episode, and also check out our social medias and our Patreon. Our Patreon does give it like exclusive perks and stuff, and you can be right here sitting like one of them and be a guest. Yes, sir. All right, thank you for watching.
I was bribed.
And cut.